Here's a story about myself. It was in, what is it, 1983, something like that. There was the first Lebanon War. The first Lebanon War. Israel fought against the Arabs that attacked us from Lebanon. Let's see, when exactly was this first Lebanon War? I think it was 1953. One second, let's see. First Lebanon War. Okay, 1982. Right, that's what I said. So the first war in Lebanon, and there's a Chabad in Nazareth elite. They got permission from the Israeli government to take a group of Chabadniks into Beirut. Beirut. It ended up that this was the last day of the war, but we didn't know. Nobody knew that. And we even saw planes coming down and dropping bombs or whatever, shooting missiles at the enemy. Anyway, so we went there. There was about 20 of us. We packed into one of these what's called like the campers, which was all decorated on the outside, and we went into Beirut. So the whole night we went around to the soldiers and we're talking to them and singing with them and encouraging them. And, and then in the daytime, crack of dawn, each one took his tefillin and he went around to ask the soldiers if they wanted to put tefillin on or not. So everybody, I decided on my own that I was going to separate from everybody else. I figured I would go to some place where no one else was going because they were already there where they didn't, I wasn't necessary in these other places. And so anyway, so I walked around, I was sort of looking around, going, looking around. All of a sudden I saw between these two houses, there was like a sort of a sort of a hill, and it went down to a road. And it went down to a road. This is sort of like on the border of the camp, where they were. So I went and I saw that there was a whole row of jeeps, army jeeps, and they had a big, like a big, huge, what is it, heavy machine gun mounted on on a pole on the back, and there were two soldiers sitting. One was a driver, and the other one was, he was riding next to him, and both of them had these big, huge, the bulletproof vests or whatever it was, and helmets. So it's obvious they were going out to some dangerous thing, what they were doing. So I asked the first person, there was maybe 5, 7, whatever it is, jeeps that were there, and they were waiting for their orders. They were crack of dawn, they were waiting for them. So I went to the first jeep and I asked the guy if he wants to put on tefillin. So he said, yeah, and he put on tefillin. It was not easy because he had to take off his coat, his this tefillin. Then the person next to him didn't want to. I went to the second person, the second jeep, and I said, would you like to put on tefillin? And he started to curse me out. He yelled at me and he was angry at me. And he said, we're going and risking our lives. And what do? You say Kaddish for us. And, you're a bunch of cowards and a bunch of this. And he was screaming at me. And your father should be embarrassed. Your mother should be embarrassed. It really let me have it. So I figured, what am I going to say to this guy? I mean, the fact of the matter, he's right. He's got a good point. Not the part of me necessarily being a coward, but, it certainly looks like it because these people are going and risking their lives and I'm not risking anything. What am I risking? I'm benefiting from their, self-sacrifice. So, on the other hand, I didn't, I saw he was really getting into this and he was really good at it. He was really just cursing me out. And he was getting more and more angry. So the person in the third Jeep, the driver of the first Jeep, he yells to me, Rebbe, come over here, because he doesn't know when they're going to get the orders to move out, right? So he wants me to come over to me. He says, I want to put on tefillin, come over to me. So this guy is in the middle of a big paragraph that he's built up about, how bad the religious people are. So I say, excuse me, I'm sorry, I would like to continue the circle. I could listen all day, but so I said, I got to go, So I go to this third person and I'm from his Jeep, from the Jeep where I am to walk in. So the third person says, Rabbi, if I put on tefillin, will God protect me? That's what he says. if I put on tefillin, will God protect me? So I'm not up to him yet. I'm like halfway. And he yelled out because it was over the noise of the engines and the. So I said to him, listen, whether you put on tefillin or not, God's going to protect you because you're a Jew and you're protecting Jews. And God will protect you for free. So I said, but if God does something for you for free, so why don't you do something for him for free? Put on tefillin. So he said, okay. So he put on tefillin, the third guy. The second guy, the one who had been cursing me, and when I finished with the third one, the second guy calls me over, come over. So I said, listen, I got more people to put on tefillin, and I sort of heard what you had to say. No. He said, I want to put on tefillin. So I figured, is that a trick? So anyway, he did. He put on tefillin. Put on tefillin. So I was amazed. Such an amazing change. In a person's personality. Even if he would have just called me and said, "Listen, I'm sorry" or something like that, that would have been a big, miracle. Because he was, justified in whatever he had to say. So that would have been. Here he's putting on tefillin. So he took the tefillin. I had the sense to keep quiet, and he took off the tefillin. And I said, I want to ask you a question. What happened? Before I was your worst enemy, you were cursing me out like I was some sort of whatever it is, a devil or something. And now all of a sudden, I'm your best friend. You're putting on tefillin. What happened? He said, listen, I heard what you said to that guy behind us, the person behind him. And he said, to put on tefillin because I'm religious, to put on tefillin to go to heaven, to put on tefillin so God will protect me. No way, I'm not going to do it. But to put on tefillin for no reason, that I'm willing to do. And from this, I understood that Jews want to put on tefillin. Jews, why do they want to put on tefillin? Because they want to do what God wants. But not for any benefits. Not for any benefits that they're going to get. Not for anything that's logical. Every Jew feels inside a connection to God, which is incomprehensible. And even more incomprehensible, every Jew wants to do what God wants. And even though it doesn't bring any results whatsoever, and he's not even thinking about results, but nevertheless, that's what a Jew is. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now, see you all, God willing, tomorrow, Friday, and we'll finish the Devar Malchut.